And we're live. Back to another exciting episode of This Hour Has 56 Minutes, Halloween edition. Hope you guys had fun partying, trick or treating, depending on your age. Maybe trick or treating with your kids or nieces and nephews. So, how was your Halloween so far, Dan?
It's actually pretty good. I mean, not many kids. Not too many kids around the area actually. We bought like a whole fucking bag of candy and didn't give out much of it actually, which is means that we're gonna give more diabetes to ourselves.
Yeah, I live in an apartment complex, and the kids don't trick or treat at the complex. They trick or treat in the neighborhood. It's kind of like an upper class neighborhood right
Oh,
next door to the apartment complex, so they know where they want to go.
well, when I used to do my trick or treating, I used to go to like the most wealthiest neighborhoods, and then because they had like the best, the best fucking candy.
Oh, definitely, I did the same thing. Yeah, they're very generous during Halloween, at least.
Exactly, extremely generous. So I was just like, like why would they come around here in like an apartment complex? Like they're all out there, going to the wealthy people's house.
Yeah, so I wanted to get into this story. I think it's a kind of a big one about Angela Merkel. You sent me this story. She's going to resign as Chancellor of Germany.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know. I was just very shocked, because usually people like this, they usually want to maintain their power for a while. But if maybe she's seeing her power dwindle a little bit, and maybe it's making her scared.
Yeah, it could be. It could be because of that big uprising, I'll call it, that they had in the eastern part of Germany after that guy got stabbed to death trying to stop a gang rape, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, and then the German people like it. It's just so funny because it just like awoke the German people. Like it just fucking the spirit of like Adolf just came into all of them.
Hey, that was his last quote. My spirit will rise out of the grave, and people will know that I have been right.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've heard that one. So it's just like it just went into everybody, and they just this collective came together, and they all just said "fuck this." And that's a beautiful thing.
As much as the people, well, the media, I should say, like CNN, for instance, some on the website, talk a lot of crap about Vladimir Putin being a dictator, but Angela Merkel has been in power in Germany longer than Vladimir Putin has been in power. And nobody ever talks down about Angela Merkel being a dictator because her party's been in power for a very long time,
Well, it says
since
right there.
2005.
It
Yeah.
says right there, 13-year dominance of European politics.
So German Chancellor Angela Merkel announced on Monday that she would not seek re-election when her term expires in 2021. Merkel, who has been chancellor since 2005, made the announcement during a news conference today in Berlin. It is time today for me to start a new chapter, Merkel told the reporters. The frig? I want to know about you, Korea. This fourth term is my last term as Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany. At the next Bundestag election in 2021, I will not run again as Chancellor. I will not run for the German Bundestag anymore, and I do not want any other political office. Merkel told reporters that being Chancellor has been a very challenging and fulfilling task. Merkel's decision appears to mark the beginning of the end of her 13-year dominance of European politics. So I heard that, well, Bavaria, there's big gains for the AFD party, I think it's called, Alternative for Deutschland.
EFT party is this is the alternative party, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so alternative right wing party because she's in the Christian Democrats Union, I think it's called, or something like that. The Christian Party. Yeah, there
Oh
we go.
yeah.
Christian Democratic Union.
Well, I bet there's nothing Christian about that fucking party.
Yeah, it's a Christian party that wants to tear down Christian churches that have been in Germany for hundreds of years
Yeah, so
because of a
Christian.
lack of well, people going there and replace it with mosque.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're just destroying Christian civilization and replacing it with Islamic civilization, right? So this is a great Christian party.
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of right wing parties have Christian have the name Christian in it, and they rule a lot of you know Austria, Netherlands. But you just look at how they actually treat Christianity in their country. I don't even know why they have it in their name in their political party.
Well, I mean, look, the right wing. I mean, like, or whatever, the Republicans, right? They have like the evangelists, right, which are just like the worst. Like they're like the ultimate gatekeepers, right? Like the Joel Steens, the Pat Robertsons, and all these people, right? They're kind of like the cuckiest of like the religious right.
Well, I mean, I think they had a lot of power when I think the last time they really had a lot of power was when George Bush was president. But I think it's just the big decline in religiosity in the country. The Christian conservative isn't like the biggest constituency of the Republican Party anymore.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just going to be declining. Well, when the boomers get older and die off.
Well, it's when I went to for example, to Turning Point USA, right? Like, they were advocating, of course, the Christian values, but then it was like, oh yeah, we know Christian values, but then it's like, oh, but we also must have to support Israel. Don't forget that. Don't forget we must support Israel. That was like Charlie Kirk's thing, right? You have to support Israel, god damn it.
Yeah, I think Turning Point USA is the last vestige of that type of conservatism. That's just going to die out, and it's going to the right wing is going to look more and more like the alt right, and unfortunately, the left wing is going to look more and more like well, your average TYT audience,
No, TYT.
the one that actually pays to get behind their paywall.
TYT. God, Cenk Uygur. God, what would that guy just like not exist? Like he's just so terrible. Like he's, there's someone that just has no like, it's so worthless in politics. It's fucking Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian and all those fucking cucks.
Well, Cenk's just the front man, the person that really funded and founded the Young Turks was Ben Mankiewicz, I believe his name is.
Oh, Mankiewicz.
Yeah, he's the real guy behind the scenes.
Is he a
Yeah.
big J?
Oh, definitely.
Sounds like a big J. That's for sure.
And the Young Turks was actually, I heard it was a movement that was actually full of Jews as well. The Jews were in their leadership,
Oh,
which kind of
really?
explains why they committed all those genocides against Christians, to
Yeah, the
Armenians, to
Turkish. Yep.
Greeks.
Yeah, the Turkish Jays, and it's kind of funny. A lot of people don't know, but a lot of those Turkish Jays ended up going to Cuba after.
Oh,
Yep.
didn't know about that.
Yeah, and a lot of them ended up going there. So, coincidence? I don't know. I don't think so.
Merkel also announced on Monday that she would stand down from the chairmanship of her center-right Christian Democratic Union Party after 18 years in the post. She said that she's known since the summer break that she no longer wanted to be the CDU chairman and that during the party's conference in December, she will not run again for the position. The announcement is a sign of Merkel's weakened power within her own party and waning popularity in the country. Both parties under Merkel's ruling coalition, the CDU and the Social Democratic Party, suffered heavy losses in a regional election over the weekend. While the CDU remained the largest party in the election, was held in the central state of Hesse, its vote was down 10% from the previous election. See, I kind of like their system more. The political system in America makes it very difficult for third parties to ever win any type of power. You have like the DSA that'll win small local elections here and there, but the DSA really isn't much different from the Democrat Party. It's essentially just where they put their most radical supporters are in the DSA because they don't want them ruining the Democrat Party. They want to keep their radicals in their own type of radical party.
Right. Now, let me ask you, do you think, like, let's say, for example, right, we do get like a third party, right? Like, do you think, for example, like, let's say, because the third biggest party is what? The Libertarian Party, right? Uh, do you think, like, that would be a good thing at this moment, like, to have that third, and I think that they would take away from the Republican Party, which I think is our only hope. What do you think?
Well, I think, unfortunately, we're going to get even if Trump stops the caravan, which I'm not really that hopeful for. I think the Supreme Court's going to just shut him down, and the demographics take a downturn where it's going to be where the Republican will never win another federal election. They might still win some local areas here and there. I think at that point, we might as well just try to throw our support behind a third party, try to get them elected to local offices, and hopefully build our way up from local to state and eventually federal.
The thing is with the Libertarian Party, because they're the third biggest ones, right? They've to me turned into kind of like a wing of the left party, right? Of the left, in a sense, right? They've become the arm, in a sense, like they're focusing on the same things, like of freedoms of sexual expression, freedoms of like tech
The
companies.
Libertine Party is what it
Exactly.
should be called.
Yeah. That's exactly what it's become, the Libertine Party, where we should let these like in a sense even worse than the left, like because at least the traditional left used to be kind of against corporations. Like the Libertarian Party is for these giant corporations and sees them as, we need to let them be, even though they're censoring every single conservative thought out there, and they're essentially have like a monopoly over the system.
Yeah, they're ending racism and promoting transgenderism.
Exactly.
How they see it.
And that's, in a sense, at least in the left, there's still some traditional people that are going to be like against corporations, right? So they might be against that. But the Libertarian Party is full blown for like these big tech companies to have, a reign over everything, and shutting down everything. Oh, this is just the free market. Like it reminds me of that video that Stefan Molyneux did about the Jays recently. Did you see it?
Yeah, I watched like maybe 10 minutes of it.
JF, he did a response to it.
Yeah, I don't know how he talks a lot about Muslims and racial IQ differences, but he totally knows what's up with the Jews. But he just literally his argument was, "Well, I know a good Jew."
Literally, I know a couple.
I know a couple of good Jews. Yeah,
I've had this argument thrown to me as well, right? Like I've had that argument thrown to me again. Besides that, let me get back to the original point, right? Like if Molyneux's argument there was like, oh, just join the free market and you will produce something better and people will like it. And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard when all these the avenue to be able to express yourself is through YouTube, right? And people are getting shut down. It's a little bit tough, you know what I mean, to really compete in the free market, right? When you're getting shut down.
Well, it's really difficult. It's the financial markets. We're getting shut out of the financial markets, which is really the most important thing.
Exactly. I mean, JF, look, if he says that he's researched like the terms and services and he figures a way around it, I don't know how that's even possible, but he has apparently. So, I mean, Jesus Christ, like, for everybody to take that time to read those user agreements, that's just, oh my God, that's such a an opportunity cost to be doing something else, creating content, doing other things. And, not everybody has that time to be able to do all that, right? In a sense.
Yeah, but he did say he was autistic during the show.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is also true. But back to the point that you made about the Jays, right? is that, you know, he makes, oh yeah, you know, he named like what 10 great guys, and I know who they are because I've been around those circles. And I could name you this. Do you think the Russians that were being murdered by the Jays, about 300 Jays that ran the Bolshevik party, do you think like those are 300 Jays right there that is that the Russians would be pretty upset with, you know, that would be wouldn't want them there in a sense, right?
Yeah, there's a in World War II in Ukraine when the Holodomor was happening. It was literally the average Ukrainian citizen just rose up and started their own program against trusted flaggers. It was kind of
Yeah,
spontaneous. Nobody really organized it. They weren't expecting it to happen. I think the
exactly.
Nazis, when the Nazis came over there, they literally had to stop them from just killing all killing all the trusted flaggers.
Well, yeah, and you know, for recognizing these things, like, you know what I mean, that you know that you have 300, let's say 300, about, I think it was about around there 300 Jays that were in that administration, right? That were responsible for the murder of millions of Russians, right? Like the Russian people didn't benefit from these 300 Jays, right? So like you telling me that, yeah, some people benefit from free market thinking, you know, because there's some good Jays and only a few that he could name, right? Like it wasn't like he named the whole list, right? I can name you 300 Jays, which Dr. Duke has named them all in his books, you know, and he knows them like literally off the top of his head, right? That destroyed Russia, right? And not just Russia, right? We could go into like places like in Germany where things were going wrong, Spain where things were going wrong, Czechoslovakia, Poland, uh, Cuba, I mean, China, everywhere.
Yeah, I want to just digress back to the Libertarian Party. I think the big problem with the Libertarian Party is they throw so much support behind their presidential candidates that that's really what they focus on, and they should. What all third parties should do. Don't even run a presidential candidate because he's not even going to win. Just focus on local elections and then just build yourself up. I think if the Libertarian Party did that, they would be better off. But I definitely don't want the Libertarian Party doing that now.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I you look, to me, the Libertarian Party like is just decayed. Like it's just been getting worse and worse and worse. Like I mean, it's to the point where I see Larry Sharp, which is running for, I believe it was governor for NYC. He's holding up a rainbow flag, like, you know, with a snake in the middle. The "Don't tread on me" snake.
Oh, you got to
Yeah,
be kidding me.
you know, I'm not kidding you. This is how bad it's gotten. And the fact that there's some libertarians that like find like libertarians that find hope in these people, like it's just it's useless, man. They don't see what's really going on. They don't see the interconnectedness of like of our society, of the certain people in society, right? They don't understand the concept of in-group preferences between the specific group that we're mentioning, the Jays, right? They don't see that. They just see completely the ideology of just communism, capitalism, right? Like one of the things that happened recently, there's a page, right, that's pretty well known in the Cuban circles, and you know, I mentioned to them, like I sent to them, hey, look, like this is some information that I want you guys to publish. Like, hey, look, there's a lot of Jays that are involved in this movement, in the communist movement, right? And then the response was just, oh no, we
Hold
don't
on,
like
I
to
just got to interrupt you for a second.
go
So
ahead.
I noticed that this vice president person running for the first vice presidential candidate for the Green Party is a perfect picture. Okay, go ahead. Go on.
No, no, yeah. So I had sent them information about the Jays that had been involved in Cuban and in the Cuban Communist movement, the inception of it, right? And their argument, what they responded to me was like, oh, you know, we don't like to focus on that. We don't care if they're Christian, if they're Catholic or whatever, right? You know, this isn't important to us. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Why are you guys being like this? Like, this is pretty important stuff people should know. and you guys just don't want to talk about it. At least just tell me the truth. Oh, could cause us some problems. Then, I respect it. But, don't tell me that all the information that I have is just useless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very tough to get that through to people because they've been brainwashed the whole time, and throughout media, throughout their education, public and private. And you tell them this information that just goes completely against what they've been told their whole life. It takes a lot for them to digest it.
Yeah, it takes a lot, and my purpose to do it was just to expose more Cuban people to what happened, like what's the actual, like the kind of like to unveil it a little bit more for them, right? And it wasn't like just full blown. Oh, look, here's this. Just no, it's like here's some little information. This guy was a J. These people were J's. Like here's some photos. And boom, like they just completely shut it down and made it completely irrelevant. But I'm digressing too much into we're getting into the Libertarian Party. But Libertarian Party is just like I said, it's to me right now, they are part of the enemies as well, right? Like the guy, what's his name, Nick Swardson, I believe it is. He's like the chairman of the chair, or party chair or whatever. The guy has just been terrible, like like for transsexual rights. How about this? In my area, the local Libertarian Party had a tranny talk about gun rights. Like there you go.
Yeah, see, the Libertarian Party should just merge with the Green Party. I mean, they just change their view on economics. There's really not much difference between the two.
Yeah, there's not going to be much difference, and it's just going to be the same wheel that's going to turn, and the same crap, and they're going to be pro market, the pro markets at this moment, right? Like with Facebook and Twitter, and they're gonna advocate for them. They're gonna pull for them, and those people are completely our enemies, right? Like YouTube, in a sense, too.
Yeah, I stopped paying attention to the Libertarian Party when I saw the convention on Infowars and that one guy to strip naked.
Oh,
This fat guy to
Jesus.
strip naked.
His name's James Weeks, I think it is. Weeks. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. That guy, like, that is literally the Libertarian Party, right? That just a bunch of like degenerates. And the guy goes, and how can anybody take this party seriously when there's like a guy stripping naked in the middle of the convention in a thong, and he's a fat like fuck.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't have like a lot of I don't have a lot of hope for these third parties, not the ones that currently are.
Well, what do you think about like the Constitutional Party, for example? Like they don't seem to get much traction, which is just they just don't seem to get a lot of traction. But I mean, of course, if the Constitution, like if we were could get anything close to the Constitution, it would be great.
Yeah, I do like the Constitution Party. I think it's a paleo conservative, isn't it? It's very they
Well,
like to
they abide by the Constitution, right? So, I mean, look, the Constitution is what's, in my opinion, was one of the pillars of like what started the United States or whatever, right? And it's in a sense it goes by like the foundings of the country, and I don't see that like if we could possibly reduce to that level again, that's not too bad, but it's the problem is the people that are subverting it, right? Like it doesn't matter to me like what type of like paper or whatever type of ideology. If you have people that in your society are subverting things, it doesn't matter what you have around. You have to get rid of the people that are subverting it.
Yeah, I was looking at the Constitution Party Wikipedia page. Yeah, I do like how they are strict followers to the Constitution. So that is kind of like their whole policy of the party. I think there's flaws with the Constitution though. and you just no check on power with the judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Anton, but and Anton in the chat wrote, is there an alt libertarian party or a Christian libertarian party?
Christian Libertarian Party. I never heard of that.
Yeah, I've
Can
never heard of
look.
anything like that. Yeah, we could take a look to find out, but I don't think I've ever heard of a Christian libertarian party per se. But you know, again, I don't know. I just seem a lot of like these parties, like the only I don't like I got this moment in time. I don't know if I could see anything beyond the Republican Party because it's just everything is such a threat. Like losing, like for example, losing the Florida the Florida governor to what's this guy's name? I forgot his name. God, do you know by any chance who's running for Florida governor? It was on the news because the guy was considering him racist or whatever.
But you live in Florida and you don't know the guy who's running for Florida governor,
Yeah, I totally forgot. No, I forgot his name.
Rick Scott. He's the current governor, isn't he? That's all I know. Oh wait, is that a black guy that's running for
yeah, yeah. I don't know if
governor?
it's governor or whatever, but what's his name? Hold on.
Yeah, because I seen a video on um, damn, what was that? The third
Yeah,
rail.
running for
Third rail
Florida
was covering
governor.
it.
Yeah, Andrew Gillum. There you go. Which is like
Yeah, and
a
he's
yeah,
way
DeSantis.
too welcoming to illegal immigrants.
Yes, and DeSantis is the only guy that's running against him. And DeSantis is a freaking like Israel lover. Like gets. I mean, there's a photo of him literally with a little. I don't know what those hats are. You know, little hats that the Jewish people wear.
Yamaluk.
Yeah, yeah. He has one of those with a flag of Israel behind him. Totally, pro-Zionist guy, right? But he is a lot better than Gillum. There's just no doubt about that. And I don't want anybody in Florida voting for a third party.
Yeah, I want people to vote like party line Republican, unless like they're just very um like their views on guns or immigration would be like the only reason why I wouldn't vote Republican.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just there's so much at stake at this moment where I feel that we just cannot give these people an inch, right? And a third party will give these people that inch that they need. If you know, I just feel like again, like let's say Gary Johnson, no, well, not Gary Johnson, but like a more right wing libertarian runs for the Libertarian Party. Then they're going to take away votes, let's say, from Trump, right? Compared to, like, let's say, if Trump faces Hillary Clinton or someone similar to him, like or Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, right? It's just going to be they're going to take away from Trump, which might actually cause him to lose, and that is something that I don't even want to see what a Democratic presidency is like ever again.
Oh, it's going to be pretty extreme. They're bringing the hate speech laws. They're going to put massive restriction on firearm ownership. They're going to change the laws on self-defense. They're going to figure out a way to make stand your ground laws unconstitutional
Yep.
somehow.
They're gonna give out
It's,
fucking butt plugs in school. It's gonna be everything, fucking the worst of the worst. I mean, God, it's just gonna be terrible. I would really be scared in a sense, to be honest, if this guy Andrew Gillum wins. I'd feel threatened in a sense. So that's why I want everybody to just put their vote in for the Republican Party because this is too much of an issue. I don't know what the future looks like with this guy as governor. The racial
it,
conflict. I mean, the racial conflict as well. Just the fact that he is African American. And a lot of people, whether they keep it in disguise that they quote unquote like being around them or whatever. Generally speaking, people don't like being around them. They don't they don't like their policies.
yeah, I don't know, man. He's going to be governor, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. It's more like the Senate and the House is what really matters.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, again, that's why DeSantis is anybody that's out there in Florida, please vote for DeSantis. Even though he's a Zionist, please just vote for him. You don't want a Nog vote running your state.
Yeah, just this person that's running for governor in Georgia. I saw her on The View. It's this fat black woman, and she would be the first black woman to be governor of any state. She's running as a Democrat, of course. And I don't know. I think just wouldn't work well for Georgia if she got elected, but I just know that she's probably not. Good thing she probably isn't going to get elected because I know a lot of black men just aren't going to vote for her.
Right, yeah. Men aren't, yeah, and that's a good thing, right? But the thing is that the men have to keep their women at home. They have to keep their women at home, and African Americans are usually a minority in the population. Even though Atlanta is majority, I would believe African American.
Yeah, it is.
So it's a little tough there because it's heavily populated too.
So she also made a comment about she wants to change the gun laws in Georgia to ban assault weapons, assault rifles. So she says.
Oh God.
So yeah, it's just gonna be pretty bad.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, what are people going to use to kill each other with there?
Yeah, so she's kind of open about it. People should have firearms to go hunting, but she doesn't believe in using them for self-defense.
God. The same old talking points from the left. It's like this one unified like way of thinking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll get their talking points from well, I guess a central location, it feels like.
Right. Yeah, that's something that's interesting. Like there's really no like real like differences of thought, right? Like in the election field, right? Like there's nothing like remotely completely different from each other. It's usually all the same talking points.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of what attracted me to the right wing because you have so much more diversity in thought. You have libertarianism, conservatism, third positionism. I think that's the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the furthest that you go, like, you have the third positions, you have the ANCAPs, you have the who else? The paleo conservatives. There is that diversity, but the thing is that the people that are on the extreme right don't get the voice, right? Like their voice, like it's the center right that gets like that's stops. It stops the train stops there, right? Like it doesn't go much further around there, right? Like the general public doesn't know about these other positions.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use my mom for example. I really try to avoid talking about politics with my family members, but sometimes things come up on the news or TV or just whatever, and my mom says, "Oh, I can't believe you're conservative," and it's like, "Oh, well, I mean, I'm not liberal. I'm on the right, but I'm not a conservative." Oh, don't lie, you're conservative. Like, okay, like to the average person, the only thing they know of is liberal or conservative. They don't even know there's other philosophies of thought out there in politics.
Yeah. Like, look, I have like a leftist in my family that all like the person does is as soon as like I go in and see them, they're like, oh, you're like an evangelist, like extremist, like the way the left views like conservatives, right? Like these like hillbilly, Bible reading, people like that, right? Like that's like the kind of stereotype that they pretty much give to the right wing, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, exactly. Whenever I express my views, and it's more of a right wing type of views, everybody always assumes I'm like this Christian conservative type person. I'm not even particularly religious, but they just
Right.
assume that you're a religious person.
Yeah, and they'll just say that they'll assume these things. oh, you must wanna like oh my, like what's those talking points that women usually have? Oh, my body, my choice. Oh, you must hate for women not to have a choice in their body or whatever, right? Like all this fucking craziness that just comes out of like their fucking mouths, the same talking points. And quite frankly, if I could be honest, I would prefer that women not be able to fucking abort their children. Just being completely honest.
Yeah, I think when I view, I mean, I can understand some women being pro-abortion because it's like, hey, what if I get raped, or what if it's a result of incest? But the women that are really, they treat it like it's their religion in a way. That's how fanatically they support abortion. I
Oh
just view
yeah.
something that's completely something wrong with them, right? It's just that the only reason why they want abortion legal is because they might accidentally get interrupted from the amount of sexual partners they've been having.
Yeah, Ireland, right? The when Ireland when Ireland passed that abortion bill, there's like a bunch of like those, the typical, women with the stupid hats on their fucking head, cheering this shit, right? Like going around fucking like crying, like
Crying about it. It's like, oh my, really? Why would you celebrate something so passionately? This is this isn't healthy. This isn't. I don't think women would naturally feel that way. I mean, where's the maternal instinct that they're supposed to have?
exactly, right? Like where's that maternal feeling? Like what, like wouldn't you be repulsed, like in a sense, like if you have these instincts in you, built in you, to want to care for things, right? And then you want to actually destroy them and you're cheering for them. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yep. And I think this is an excellent segue to this article you sent me about bromances,
Oh yeah.
because we're
I
talking
like it.
about
Yeah, go ahead.
women being broken and people. Now, I really don't like how they kind of make this sound kind of gay, but I think it's perfectly healthy and perfectly normal for men to have close friendships with other men. Just somebody you can count on, because men historically, it could just be my theory, but men historically, they had to go out to hunt. Sometimes they would have to go out for, days at a time, chase down a woolly mammoth, bring it back to wherever their village is. And they
Yeah,
had to have,
absolutely.
that dependability with another man, make sure, hey, he has my back. Hey, is he gonna fight to the death for me? It was like, neighboring tribe shows up, and it's just my theory.
No, no, it's absolutely right, right? Like men had to, they had to have a sense of community, right? Because when they went for like a big hunt, like a woolly mammoth or whatever, this is a big fucking animal. You know what I mean? Like they had to coordinate together, they had to cooperate, and they had to bring these things down to be able to bring food back to their women and their children.
Yeah, and for hunting, also they would have to fight wars. Men are the main ones that had to defend their tribes from neighboring tribes. So
Exactly. You had to protect against conquerors that came to to try to take your shit and to take your women, right? So yeah, you had to in essence have some sort of special bond with them, right? Like cuz you know that, if something happens to you, your community has to come in and and help your family, right? So there's like an incentive there.
yeah, I was actually watching this documentary on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still there, but I think it's called "The Story of Us: The Story of Humans," and it really went over how in her early, very early human history, a lot of times these wars start, and it wasn't over resources; it was literally over the women in the
Yeah, yeah,
neighboring
absolutely.
tribe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, women were seen as the ultimate commodity, right? Like the ultimate prize, right? When you
Yeah,
conquer it, when like there's a difference between like a society that's a paternal society and a maternal society. Like the maternal societies never grew much because they were always, within themselves, but the paternal societies ended up going out to conquer other societies, so they reproduced faster than the maternal societies, and the maternal societies would get conquered by the paternal societies.
yeah, and he also it's been a while since I've seen this, but they theorized one of the reasons why is because men would just collect women. I know it sounds bad, but it really wasn't like this idea of like if you're a man, you have the idea of what we have called marriage. They didn't have that idea. It was whatever, women were viewed as property, viewed as something that would give birth to your kids. So you try to collect as many as you could
Yeah, and
to make yourself more successful.
exactly, and it's exactly why women like are so agreeable in our society, right? Because the fact that when a conquering tribe came and they killed their men, and the women had to submit, right? They just lost her to her husband or whatever, right? But they had to kind of psychologically adapt to the new reality of their lives, right? That they were going to be with a new man, right? And the new man was going to produce new children or whatever, right? So this is, in a sense, me and one of my buddies talk about this. That this is probably why women kind of are like a little bit loony in a sense, because these conquering tribes ended up taking them, and they had to get rid of like those old memories with your old men. You know what I mean? And kind of adjust to a new life, right? And adjust to a new man, in a sense.
Yeah, and I didn't view it in a documentary. I read it in this book. I'm not sure if it's Sperm Wars, another type of book, but contrary to the popular feminist belief, uh, men weren't actually abusive towards their women during the
Oh no.
beginning.
Yeah, no. Like I think that that's all just bullshit. Like I've always thought that was bullshit because men put women on a pedestal in a sense. Like I see how men are now. Like I mean, for Christ's sakes, if Brittany Venti shows off like a fucking portion of her tits, like the fucking money comes in. I mean, uh, this is men fucking putting women on a pedestal. I mean, if any woman is remotely attractive, she starts to get views. She starts to fucking develop an audience.
All right, so continue on to the article. Men are more satisfied by romances than a romantic relationship, study says. I could see that realistically with how women are today, but let's get into this. Young men get more emotional satisfaction out of romances, close heterosexual friendships with other males than they do out of romantic relationships with women, according to a small new study published in Men and Masculinities. Intimate male friendships have become more socially acceptable in recent years, say the study authors, and that's largely a good thing. But they caution that the shift could lead to weaker bonds among dating or married couples, or even reduce the likelihood of men and women pairing up at all. It's kind of revealing because a lot of men, I would say, I don't want to say, well, maybe it is the average that they're kind of isolated. They don't really go out, hang out with friends. They do have friends. It's like a very small circle of friends. They go out, from time to time, but they're at home playing video games, playing whatever,
Red Dead Redemption or
Red
whatever.
Dead Redemption, the horse balls and stuff.
But no. Look, I think that that in a sense it might be true, right? Like that, in a sense that since there is kind of like this tension between male and females at this moment, right? This tension that's created by a certain group, and there's this divide, right? So men find more comfort or trust in other men, right, than they would if they had spouses or girlfriends. I could see that being the case.
Well, I also think that men also have got more what's the term, clingy in a way, because now they're kind of replacing their friendships that they would have normally with men, and they kind of try to replace it with women.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
I'm trying to get the. What do you mean by that?
kind of like how back in the day people would have close friendships with other guys, like close, uh, kind of a emotional attachment to other guys. But the average guy doesn't really have that type of best friend that they can really count on.
Well, yeah, like
And they're trying to
largely.
replace that type of feeling with like a woman, a girlfriend. and it's just that your girlfriend or a female just can't give you the same type of bonding that you want, the type of platonic bonding, a friendship that a male could.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think that there is like for example, like the relationships with men nowadays, I think is more superficial than it is like anything like real, like bonding, like like in the past where it's like in the past you had like something that bonded you together. You were genetically similar, right? You were part of a group, a tribe, in a sense. And now it's kind of like it's kind of sporadic, right? Because we're inundated with like multiculturalism, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of male friendships now are kind of focused on activities. Like, you know, I, my my friends that I have as friends, like what we do is we play Xbox together, or maybe we'll go like out bowling, or maybe go out to a club every now and then. But there's really not much of like uh, what type of bonding activity I can think of, like going camping, maybe hiking, you know, something like that.
Well, yeah, that's been completely demonized by the left, right? Like if you're a hunter, you're just a bad person in a sense, right? You're a gun-toting type of guy. That's not what the mainstream wants you to be.
And also they kind of like, if you do that type, I don't know. I just think that men, they don't have close relationships with other males like they should.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah, no,
more
I agree.
isolated.
I definitely agree with that.
The concept of the bromance isn't new. George Washington wrote endearing letters to other men. The authors note. Well, they also said there's a similar thing with the Greeks. Would write like, "Oh, so and so, I love him so," and they would use this as like a sign of homosexuality, but it isn't like a sexual love. It's a platonic friendship love, you know. And Abraham Lincoln shared a bed with a male friend for several years. Well, I don't know about that, but
Oh,
that might be a little too
yeah.
extreme.
Jesus. Well, first off, let's see if that's even true. Remember, this is by Times Magazine, right? Like, come on, like, well, God knows the research that they've done into things like this. By the way, you had a question here by just to cut you off a little bit, but by Anton, he said, "Hey, did you ever get your article published by on Rush's site?"
Nope, we just never ended up publishing it.
Yeah, I just wanted to have him answer the question, answer the question for him. So, go ahead, you can keep going with the article.
Where was I? Okay, but close male companionship became more taboo in the second half of the 20th century, say researchers from the University of Winchester in England, due to a rise in homophobic sentiments and changing ideals of what masculinity should look like. In recent years, though, romances have become cool again, the authors say, thanks in part to high profile celebrity examples like the Obama Biden romance. I haven't actually seen that. Were they like holding hands together in public? Do you know?
I have no idea. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. To be honest, I've never seen anything of remotely. I've only seen Joe Biden have like weird romantic, weird situations with kids. That's the only thing that I've seen.
Movies like the 40-year-old version find out how much romances matter. They survey 30 heterosexual men who were second year college students and had been in a relationship before or were currently. The group was homogeneous, to be sure, besides all being straight college students. All but one of the men were white. All had a sports related major. Okay. The authors found that every one of them reported having at least one romantic friend with whom they engaged in no boundaries behaviors like that just sounds so wrong to me.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No
No
boundaries
boundaries.
behaviors, okay?
Oh,
Like
God.
sharing secrets, expressing love, or sleeping in the same bed.
I
It's
could,
just this
I could.
sounds gay. Does it sound like
Exactly.
a close friendship?
What kind of friendship is this? Like, who the like who wrote? First off, who wrote this article? Let's find out who wrote this article.
Oh, it's not just an English name.
Oh,
Not
okay.
setting off my detector.
Not setting off your oh, okay, okay. I was just making sure that it didn't set off your detector, but it's just Amanda. Amanda, this sounds like a feminine relationship, right? Like a feminine, like women share secrets with each other, like, right? Like, isn't that like the whole thing that they kind of share secrets, they bond together, like, and share, they do sleepovers and things like that.
Yeah,
Right?
they
This sounds,
gossip together.
they gossip together. Like, this is the thing that women do. This does not sound like a man thing. I've never come across men that have, slept in each other's beds or expressing love to each other. What? Like, I don't get that.
uh, yeah, I would never think about sleeping in the same bed of like any guy. But I guess I could see myself saying like, "Hey, I love you, man." I could see saying something like that.
Yeah, but
To your
that's
close
not like
friend.
that. That's not exactly expressing love in the sense of like the way this puts it, right? Like, this is
Yeah, the way
expressing.
they're making it's making it sound like a romantic type of love.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, like, hey, saying like, hey man, I love you, man. Like, it's kind of like an endearment in a sense, like, but not really that you love the guys and you want to fucking express your love. Like, this is such a feminine thing, expressing love, like, right? Like, I don't know.
It's more like I love you, man. I got your back whenever you need me type of thing.
Exactly. It's more of that, like, in that context, and it comes back from like we were saying in history that, men had to have each other's back. They're like, yeah, I got your back. I got your back too. You know what I mean? In the case of battle, in the case of food, whatever, right?
29 out of 30 men said they had cuddled with their romantic partner. Okay. Now, I
Oh,
mean,
where
I
are these
have,
studies?
given hugs to my friends, but I don't know about like cuddling with my partner while I'm watching a movie. That sounds like a very feminine type of relationship, friendship, I should say, not
Wait, in this
relationship.
study, did they study 29 gay men?
They said they were all heterosexual.
Oh, okay, yeah. I doubt that for some reason.
These findings may not apply to men beyond this very specific population. Well, it was only 30 people, right? So it's probably not a big enough sample size, in my opinion. More research is needed. The authors published their initial findings in May in the journal Sexuals and their new analysis. All right, so what if they're doing a study, right? I don't think this is supposed to be a sexual type of study. Why they're putting it in a journal called Sexuals? And
Interesting.
in their new analysis, they identify and exploit the differences between those men's romances and their actual romances. Overall, the students reported feeling less judged by their close male friends and by their girlfriends. In the words of one participant, Tim knows I love listening to Taylor Swift, Beyonce, but I keep that quiet around my girlfriend because she would judge me. I feel like I have to be
Oh
more
my
manly
god.
around her.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, like, depending, this is another thing about this study, right? Like, where did they do this study? Did they do this study like in the fucking gayest hipster place in fucking New York? Or did they do this fucking in like the outskirts of like Montana, right? I doubt that they did it at the outskirts of Montana, because I'm pretty sure no guy there does this type of stuff. But like maybe in the hipster San Francisco area, all right? Like, I would see something like this probably being true.
Well, yeah, I could see the same thing too. But I also want to push back a little bit. Like when you were with your girlfriend, you gotta. Uh, maybe it's just because I've been reading those books by Bruce V. You gotta like appear more confident and be more in tune with yourself. Not in tune. What am I thinking? More confident, more sure of what you're doing. But when you're around like close friends, you can like kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah, well, and I mean, yeah, of course you want to, like, with women you want to appear confident, right? Like, you don't want to be like a, guy that's nervous or not confident and not being able to speak with them or whatever, right? I could definitely be that. With your men, you're more relaxed because you don't feel that they're going to be because you're not, in a sense, you're not competing, right? You're just kind of
Yeah,
sharing a
that's
bond.
mainly what it is what I should say. Is that when you're out with like your girlfriend or your wife in public, you're kind of competing with other men because there's other men are going to try to go after your wife or girlfriend, and you want to make sure that like, hey, I'm actually the I don't know what the term is. I read the book. I can't think of it, but it's kind of like, hey, I'm the alpha you should be with, not these other guys that are chasing after you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you want to appear that you're the most valuable compared to the others, right? Like you want the other ones to be diminished in value. You have the most value in a sense.
Yeah, so essentially you're competing with other men, and it's not even because of the girlfriend or the wife herself. It's because of the other men out there that's going to be chasing after her.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's the other men. It's the other men. So, and that's kind of our nature, right? To compete.
Yeah, and you don't have to when you with a guy, friendship with a guy, you don't have to worry about like you go out in public. It's like, oh, I gotta compete with this other guy, or my friend's gonna leave me for somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
Men in the study also said it was easier to overcome conflicts and share their emotions. Like when a grandparent dies with their guy friends and to discuss sensitive health information. I could see that. I mean, you don't want to cry in front of your girlfriend or your wife too much. 28 out of 30 said they would prefer to discuss personal matters with a romance than a romance. If I found a lump on my testicle, I'd talk to my romance rather than my girlfriend, one interviewee said. I guess you wouldn't tell your girlfriend about that because you don't want to let her know you have an STD, right?
Well, I mean, look, especially with that case right there, like a lump could be like, let's say, like testicular cancer or something like that, right? Too.
Oh yeah, it could be
So
cancer.
yeah, so in a sense, it could also mean that you're probably not going to be very fertile, and that might be a problem if you don't have kids.
Oh yeah, true. That's
So
make a girl
that's one
less
of the
attracted
things.
to you.
Exactly. So, if she wants kids, which most women do want kids, even the stupid fucking purple hair women, even though they don't want to fucking admit it, they want kids. They just substitute kids for dogs and other things, material things and shit like that. But beyond that, they always want kids. So if you have a lump or something, yeah, of course you're not going to want to talk to her about it. You want to see what's going on first, because this is probably going to diminish your value compared to the competition that you have out the doors, right? There's so many men competing.
When asked to describe the difference between a romance and a romance, one man noted that there are three factors to consider: sexual attraction, emotional connection, and personality. A bromance needs to last too, he noted, while a romance needs two, including sex. There was conclusive determination from the men we interviewed. Study authors wrote, on balance, they argued that romantic relationships were more satisfying in their emotional intimacy compared to their heterosexual romances. The fact that men are finally comfortable getting closer with one another is a progressive step forward, said the authors, and they suggest that men may benefit greatly from long term same sex friendships, especially if they're not comfortable being emotionally intimate with women. But they also expressed concern about traditional male female relationships, writing that the rise of the romances may not altogether be liberating and socially positive for women. And I kind of get that to a certain extent because if you aren't careful with how intimate you are, with how you're intimate with a woman, it can kind of appear kind of insecure, you know. So because you bring down your barriers, so to speak.
So So what essentially it's saying is that speaking about sex specifically their friends, is that what it's referring to?
No, no, it's about being emotionally intimate. That men are more uh men are more comfortable getting emotionally intimate with their friend than they are with their sexual partner.
No, sorry, is it I had a distraction here a little bit, so yeah, no, well, I mean, they're more likely to be more emotional. Well, yeah, because I guess if there's guy situations like that we go through or whatever, we could express it with our friends better than we can express it with our partners, right? Because our partners, uh, in a sense, we're always competing, right? So we always want to seem as we could be the best for them, right? And we don't want to show weakness to women in a
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that because when you got to be careful when you get emotionally intimate with a woman. Like a women will say like, "Hey, why aren't you intimate enough with me?" And they really actually don't like that because if you're not careful, you just bring down your barriers and you kind of seem like you're insecure that you're not like the alpha guy that you really want. Starts to look at other men,
Exactly.
but
Like it reminds me of like the girls that have friendships with men. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And girls that have friendship with men is kind of just like men that have been friend zoned because they've let down their barriers too much, and then women just don't see that attractive, and they don't see it attractive.
exactly. That's why men get friend zoned because they
E-
bring down their barriers and they disappear like weak.
Exactly. And then that's not the characteristics that they want from men. So they just completely throw them to the side, right? Like, oh, you're here. This is where you're gonna stay, and I'm gonna go look for the alpha.
But they also express concern about traditional male-female relationships, right? And that the rise of romances may not altogether be liberating and socially positive for women. Men in the study sometimes referred to their girlfriends using sexist or disdainful language they wrote, and demonstrated an us and them mentality that suggested alliances to their bros over their romantic partners. The authors even suggest that these changing cultural norms could even have implications for where and how men choose to leave, opting to move in with a male roommate than a girlfriend, for example, so thus delaying or disrupting relationships that could eventually lead to marriage and starting a family. Lovers are temporary, one study participant said during his interview, and romances last a lifetime.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. Well, you know, eh, well, to me, like in the current world, right? Men aren't having children, women aren't having children. So yeah, you see like relationships now looking at things very temporary, right? They don't see their partners as someone to be long term with. So I could see that being the case. They only see them as temporary, someone there at the moment until the next person comes in.
yeah. Uh, I don't know what it is exactly. I mean, I think some of it might be like social media. They get women get so much attention from men nowadays. Like you had Brittany Venti, who doesn't do any naked live streaming, right? She wears low cut shirts. Kind of has like a fairly nice rack. Some guy gave her $30,000,
But
and
is she even
another guy
attractive?
gave her $20,000.
Like to me, she's not even that attractive, right? She's not even like a 10, right? She's like a fucking like I don't know, a 6 in my book, I guess. Would you say that? Or 7-ish, just with a nice rack?
I would say seven. Yeah, she's not that attractive.
Yeah, she's not. And I mean, for Christ's sakes, $30,000. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you know.
30,000. Somebody gave her 20,000, and you just
And what did they
if I
get
could
out of it?
find her
Did they get
tweet.
sex? Did they get sex from that? No.
No, they didn't get sex from that. That's the problem. That's the problem with women is how men are behaving like this, just throwing money around like that. 20,000, 30,000 for what? So you can have like a private Skype session with her where you chat.
I mean, maybe what she shows you a nipple or something, and then like, oh wow, this is great enough for me, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why you wouldn't get that money and put it for more useful
Oh no, I was
purposes.
wrong.
You know, it's just ridiculous, and she's not even attractive, like a celebrity, right? Like, imagine if like fucking I don't know what's a very attractive celebrity that just can't. I don't watch TV so much, so I don't know celebrities that much anymore. Whatever, think of any of whatever attractive celebrity. Let's say Alyssa Milano when she was young, right? Like if she had this, you know, medium of the internet during this time, she'd be getting hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I couldn't find the tweet, but there's one other streamer got 50,000. Now I just want you to look at the streamer and tell me if you find this girl attractive or not, because I don't get it.
Let me see. Oh, the crowd is waiting.
$50,000
50 fucking
donation.
$1,000. Jesus Christ.
She's not wearing any revealing type of clothing, like tight fitting or revealing clothing. She just doesn't look that attractive to me.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
$50,000.
That's not even like oh my God. That's not even like I'm the luckiest man in the world. Well, yeah, look, that lady
Yeah,
just had
that's
a
not
heart
even a
attack
woman
because
too. That's a trap.
no.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So it
Oh
makes it
God.
even worse.
Even worse. Oh Jesus. What in the world? Oh, what in the world? Oh God. What's going on? Maybe that was George Soros donating.
maybe, maybe.
He's like, you know what? Fuck it. You know, I have so much money that I might as well just fucking here you go, tranny. Enjoy your fucking life. Don't try to kill yourself.
So this type of behavior, male behavior, is certainly, I think, one big part to blame of with how women are behaving. Is endless attention and compliments for them doing nothing in return, right? Like
Well, yeah,
you're
yeah.
not getting anything from it.
Yeah, and it's the thing is that now you have such a broad spectrum, right? Like before you were limited to the confines of your community, right? There was nothing beyond it, right? So women, you know, they had of course men would always bend over backwards in a sense, but not to the extent of like to this point where you get the attention from all over the world, right? If it's an attractive woman, she or even a mildly attractive woman, she gets attention all over the world, like everywhere. You know what I mean? And this plays into their psyche in a sense.
And in a way, I could see why women aren't really uh, stable, loyal as they used to be, because they're getting proposals from like all the time online.
Yeah, I've known girls that, you know, for example, that have been asked by football players, like professional football players, right, to be their wives or whatever, or to be their, you know, side ladies. You know, which being a side lady for a professional athlete, you know, you have some benefits there, right? Like you'll make pretty better off than you would compared to like getting an average guy in the street, right?
Yeah. Uh, Well, definitely because there's certainly a lot of women out there that want to be a side chick. So I think it's
Exactly.
totally disgraceful.
It is totally disgraceful, but you know, it's a lot better like financially wise, right? Than you know, getting the average Joe that makes 50,000 or 40,000, you know, and comparing him to, you know, the football player that makes millions of dollars that even just, you know, one of his $100,000 paychecks is it trumps the guy's salary, the average
Well,
guy's salary.
it's not just the money; it's also the football players are also in great shape too.
Yeah,
Probably
and
have good genetics. I mean, how
well,
many
I don't
people
know.
try out for the NFL, and how many people actually make it to the NFL?
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely more superior in the athletic realm, but you know, most of them are, you know, a certain ethnicity, so I don't think that they're much better. They're just good athletes.
Well, yeah. I mean, throw a ball, no brains.
Exactly.
Well, do you have any other topics we're going to go over? I think it's went pretty long.
No, just that. That's about it, man. I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, it was a pretty good show for Halloween. Uh, well, I'm going to put the Cantwell's donation page in the description. But if you guys can, just go to ChristopherCantwell.com/donate. Get yourself some crypto shekels. Donate him to Cantwell. He's the one that really needs it more than we do. This is just a hobby for now. Till we start building up the channel and networking.
Absolutely.
And I would like to put out my social media out there, but all of the social media accounts are down. Gab, wrong think. I'm banned from Facebook.
Absolutely.
So we'll see you next time on this hour. That's 56 minutes.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much.